The fog rolled in thick over the cobblestone alley, curling around the dim streetlights like fingers reaching for something it shouldn't touch. Detective Marcus Hale's breath came in sharp bursts, clouding in the icy night air as his K9 Blitz padded ahead with unwavering focus. Something beneath the street hummed with a life that didn't belong. A whisper of movement, a shadow that dissolved before he could fully see it. Marcus's gut twisted, a warning he couldn't ignore. He had followed Blitz here out of instinct, but instinct had never felt this dangerous before. And whatever lay beneath would change everything. Marcus Hale's boots struck the wet cobblestones with a hollow echo, each step swallowed almost immediately by the thick fog that blanketed the alley. Blitz, his German shepherd, moved ahead with a disciplined focus, nose skimming the ground, ears twitching to every whisper of sound. The alley smelled of damp brick, rotting leaves, and something far fouler, metallic like old blood. Marcus shivered, though not entirely from the cold. There was a weight in the air, a pressure that made his chest tighten, a sense that the fog itself was watching him. He'd grown up in Millhaven, a town so small that everyone knew everyone else's secrets. But some secrets were buried deeper than the cobblestones, and tonight Marcus was about to uncover one. "Blitz," he whispered, and the dog paused, lifting his snout and letting out a low growl. Marcus followed the line of sight. A manhole cover, old and rusted, barely visible under a thin sheet of fog. Blitz's growl deepened, vibrating through the air, a low rumble that made Marcus's heart pick up. "All right, boy, let's see what you found," Marcus muttered, bending to inspect the cover. It didn't take much to see the scratches, deep, jagged marks around its edges, as if something heavy had clawed at it from below. He glanced around. The alley was deserted. Street lamps flickered weakly, and the distant cry of a fox cut through the night. He tugged at the cover. It moved, but not easily. Metal scraped against brick with a sound that made him wince. Blitz crouched beside him, alert, tail stiff. The moment the cover shifted enough to form a narrow opening, a damp, cold air rose from the depths below, carried with it the scent of earth, rust, and something far more unsettling, something that seemed almost alive. Marcus swallowed, forcing down a rising bile of fear. "You're sure about this, buddy?" he muttered, though the answer was obvious. Blitz's stance was unwavering. He had followed Marcus into the fog countless times, but this was different. This was primal. He descended carefully, 1 foot at a time, into the darkness below. The alley above faded, replaced by the dank, earthen smell of the underground tunnels. His flashlight swept across the walls. Water-stained graffiti, ancient markings that suggested long-forgotten inhabitants. Then he saw it, a set of footprints, muddy and small, leading deeper into the tunnel. Too small for an adult. Children, and they weren't alone. Smears of blood ran along the walls, dragging towards something further in. Marcus froze. "Blitz!" His voice was barely audible. The dog barked softly, a signal he understood. Danger. They moved together, cautiously, footsteps silent against the wet stone floor. The tunnel twisted, narrowing as they progressed. Somewhere in the distance, a faint scratching echoed, a rhythm that shouldn't belong to a human hand. Marcus's mind raced. The last time the police had followed these tunnels, they had found nothing, or at least nothing officially reported. But the townspeople whispered. Stories of disappearances. Children vanishing into the night. Strange lights beneath the streets. He reached a fork. One tunnel curved sharply left, damp and stagnant. The other, right, seemed to slope downward, drawing him further into darkness. Blitz paused, nose in the air. A low whine escaped his throat, a warning. Marcus hesitated. Then, instinct took over. He followed the right-hand path, the one that descended deeper, where the air grew colder and heavier, as if it carried the weight of the town's hidden sins. The tunnel widened into a small chamber, walls slick with moisture. Something lay in the corner, a bundle wrapped in a tattered cloth. Marcus's flashlight trembled slightly in his hand. He knelt, careful not to disturb it. Slowly, he unwrapped the cloth. A child, pale, eyes closed, breathing shallow but alive. Panic surged through him. "God, thank God," he muttered, checking for injuries. Blitz nudged the child gently, whimpering. Marcus looked around the chamber, noticing the scrawled symbols on the walls, lines and circles, almost ritualistic, smeared with what looked like dried blood. A sound behind him made him snap around. Footsteps, heavy, deliberate, echoing off the damp walls. Marcus drew his gun, hands shaking. "Who's there?" he demanded. No answer, just a foggy echo of footsteps retreating deeper into the tunnels. Marcus realized with chill that someone or something had been watching him the entire time. Blitz growled low, hackles raised. The dog's instinct screamed danger. Marcus tightened his grip on the child and moved back toward the alley's manhole. Every step felt heavier, as though the tunnels themselves resisted their exit. When they finally emerged, the fog had thickened outside, wrapping around the streetlights and spilling into the alley like smoke. Marcus set the child down safely, kneeling beside him. Sirens wailed in the distance, drawn by the neighbors' calls when the alley lights flickered strangely. Marcus looked down at Blitz, who sat alert, ears twitching, watching the shadows. The dog's gaze shifted toward the alley's far end, where darkness pooled like liquid, and Marcus understood the danger wasn't gone. It had only followed them. He stood, picking up the child, feeling a knot of unease tighten in his gut. This night would not end peacefully. The fog hid secrets beneath the streets, secrets that Millhaven had buried for decades. And now, Marcus Hale and Blitz were at the center of it. The town of Millhaven slept uneasily under the weight of fog and streetlights that barely pierced the night. Marcus Hale carried the child through winding alleys toward the old precinct, every step a reminder that what lay beneath the streets had not yet revealed itself fully. Blitz ran at his side, alert, ears rotating like radar dishes, nose twitching with every faint scent that the town exhaled. By the time they reached the police station, Marcus's hands were trembling, not from the cold, but from the unshakable feeling that they were being watched. He set the child on a cot, checking him over again, nothing broken, though pale and shivering. The boy's wide eyes reflected terror beyond his age. Marcus knelt beside him, whispering reassurances, though he had no idea if they would help. Captain Lorna Hayes appeared at the doorway, her face a mask of controlled concern. "Marcus, what the hell is going on?" Her voice was low, urgent. Marcus felt the weight of her gaze, the unspoken accusation. Why had he gone so far alone? "There's something beneath the streets," Marcus said, keeping his voice measured, though inside he was seething with frustration. "Something dangerous, something deliberate, and it's been here a long time. These tunnels, they're hiding more than old sewer lines. Symbols, blood, and children." Lorna's eyes widened, but she didn't show fear. "Children?" Her voice hardened, a professional edge cutting through the horror. "Marcus, you should have waited for backup." "I didn't have time," he snapped, though immediately regretted the sharpness. Blitz whined softly beside him, sensing his tension. "Whatever's down there, it's smart, and it's waiting." The fog outside thickened, crawling against the precinct's walls like a living thing. Marcus could hear it pressing in, whispering promises of exposure, secrets, and long-forgotten sins. He had grown up in this town. He knew its surface calm was a lie. The real Millhaven thrived in shadows and silence and beneath its cobblestones. Lorna studied him, and Marcus caught the flicker of recognition in her eyes. She knew this town's darkness as well as he did, and yet she was hiding something. That subtle hesitation in her expression, the way she glanced toward the precinct's back offices as though measuring which words to trust, Marcus noticed it. "You're sure the child isn't injured?" she asked. "Shaken," Marcus admitted, "and scared. But physically he's okay." He shifted his gaze toward Blitz. He led me straight to him. Blitz barked once, sharply, then sat obediently, tail stiff. The dog's alertness never wavered. Marcus followed his gaze toward a map pinned to the wall, a network of tunnels crisscrossing beneath Millhaven, marked with places that had long been forgotten. Old factories, abandoned storage rooms, and at the center, a large node labeled only as the Hollow. "That's where the markings were," Marcus said, pointing. "And the blood trails. Something is living down there, controlling the tunnels, maybe even the children who go missing." Lorna's face darkened. "The Hollow hasn't been used for years. Officially abandoned. But she trailed off, then shook her head. No one should be going down there now. It's dangerous, even for a trained officer. Marcus clenched his jaw. I don't care about danger. That child, he's one of them. And whoever or whatever is down there, it's still hunting. Lorna hesitated. Then her expression hardened. Fine, but you're not going back in alone this time. We'll assemble a team, and we'll follow the tunnels to their source. Marcus nodded, though the pit in his stomach warned him that this plan had risks no one could measure. He felt Blitz brush against him. A small comfort, a reminder that he wasn't alone in the darkness. Hours passed. The precinct became a nerve center, officers whispering, reviewing maps and readying gear. Marcus found a quiet corner to check his phone, scrolling through missing persons reports from the last 10 years. Names blurred into one another, a long trail of children who had vanished without trace. And then, buried in the last page of reports, a familiar name, Eli Harper. Marcus's breath hitched. Eli was his childhood friend. Disappeared almost 15 years ago. The memory of the boy's wide, laughing eyes, and the way he had promised to meet Marcus at the old mill flooded back. He had never found him. And now, seeing that name in the context of the tunnels, in this new horror, felt like a punch to the gut. Blitz nudged him again, pulling him from the spiral of memory. The dog's gaze fixed on the door as Lorna returned, flanked by 2 officers armed and ready. One of them, a young man named Tanner, had a hesitant look in his eyes, a flicker of uncertainty that Marcus noted. Not fear, exactly, but something else. Something calculated. Ready? Lorna asked, voice low. Marcus swallowed, nodding. Ready as I'll ever be. The descent into the tunnels began just after midnight. Lanterns swung, casting trembling shadows against slick stone walls. Every drip of water, every scrape of metal, seemed amplified in the oppressive silence. The fog from above had followed them into the tunnels, a damp, clinging mist that carried with it the lingering smell of earth, decay, and blood. As they moved deeper, the tunnels curved and twisted, disorienting even the most experienced. Marcus felt the walls close in, the floor uneven beneath their boots. Blitz led, nose to the ground, ears rotating constantly, alert to the faintest disturbance. Then, a sound, faint footsteps echoing from further ahead, lighter than human but deliberate, almost taunting. Marcus signaled for the team to halt. Hearts beating rapidly, breaths echoing in confined space, they waited. The footsteps stopped. Silence. A low, guttural whisper slithered from the darkness. Not words. Something older, almost linguistic in its cadence. Marcus's throat tightened. Something moved just beyond the edge of the light. He could feel it, like static in the air, a presence that shouldn't exist. Suddenly, Tanner stepped forward without instruction, flashlight swinging toward the source. A shrill scream cut through the tunnels, sharp, pained, human. Marcus spun, gun raised. Blitz lunged toward Tanner, growling, forcing him back. What the hell, Tanner? Lorna barked, frustration and fear mixing in her tone. Tanner's face was pale, eyes wide. I thought I saw someone, a child. Marcus's gut tightened further. He recognized that look, the look of someone hiding a truth, of someone who had known more than they should. Blitz growled low, ears flat. He backed into Marcus, signaling danger closer than they realized. And then, from the shadowed corner of the tunnel, movement. Something thin, gaunt, moving with a deliberate, almost human grace. The team froze. Lantern light fell upon a figure crouched low, wrapped in tattered clothes, eyes glinting with a feral intelligence. Behind it, faint scribbles on the walls, symbols etched in desperation or madness. Marcus recognized one symbol immediately. It had been carved into the childhood diary of Eli Harper back when he had disappeared. And suddenly, a sickening realization hit him. Eli had never left. He had been hiding, transformed by years beneath the streets, watching, waiting, and now, luring them closer. Blitz barked fiercely, charging forward, and Marcus raised his gun, but the figure darted deeper into the tunnels, leaving only a trail of blood and whispers behind. Marcus's heart hammered. The child they had rescued earlier whimpered, clutching at his arm instinctively. And then he understood. The tunnels weren't just a hiding place. They were a labyrinth built to trap, to corrupt, to consume. And Eli was no longer the boy he had known. He had become something else entirely. Marcus gritted his teeth. "We're not leaving until we find him," he muttered, voice tight with mixture of dread and determination. The fog beneath the streets seemed to pulse around them, alive, whispering secrets only the brave or foolish dared follow. And Marcus Hale knew, as he pressed onward with Blitz and the team, that every step deeper brought them closer to a truth that would terrify everyone in Millhaven. The tunnels breathed around Marcus Hale like a living entity, damp air pressing against his lungs, shadows riding at the edges of the lantern light. Blitz padded ahead, muscles tense, ears pinned back, every hair on his back bristling. Marcus's hand never left his gun, but he knew it was almost meaningless down here. This place was not meant to be confronted with bullets alone. Eli Harper's trail led them deeper into the hollow, a vast chamber that smelled of iron, mold, and despair. Water dripped from a vaulted ceiling, echoing like a metronome in the silence. Symbols scrawled on the walls glowed faintly in the lantern light, etched with precision that betrayed intelligence, obsession, and madness. Each line pulsed, almost hypnotic, as if the chamber itself were alive. "Stay close," Marcus warned, voice low. Lorna and the team flanked him, flashlights slicing through the gloom. But Marcus noticed Tanner lagging slightly behind, eyes darting toward shadows more than the path ahead. There was a hesitation in him that Marcus couldn't ignore. A secret. A sudden, high-pitched cry split the air. Blitz barked furiously, spinning toward the sound. Marcus rushed after him. At the far end of the chamber, he saw movement. A figure crouched over something small, hunched like a predator. Lantern light fell on the gaunt, pale face of Eli Harper. His eyes were wild but familiar, a twisted reflection of the boy Marcus had once known. "Eli." Marcus's voice cracked, unsteady with disbelief and horror. Eli didn't respond. He stood slowly, revealing a row of children, alive but terrified, their clothes torn and smeared with dirt. One small girl clutched a stuffed rabbit, staring at Marcus with wide, uncomprehending eyes. "You shouldn't have come here," Eli said finally, voice low, resonant with years of hunger and isolation. "They told me to wait. They said they'd punish me if I left." Marcus's stomach twisted. "Well, it's me. Marcus, you're safe now. Come with us. We'll get you out." Eli's gaze flickered, a hint of recognition, then hardened. "Safe? From what? From them?" He gestured to the walls, to the symbols. The whispers in the shadows seemed to rise, low and menacing. "You don't understand. They're everywhere. They're underneath everyone. They've been teaching me, shaping me, and you're too late to stop it." Before Marcus could respond, Tanner stepped forward suddenly, eyes glinting with a strange, cold calculation. "Marcus, maybe we should listen to him," Tanner said, voice deceptively calm. Marcus froze. He realized the truth. Tanner had been in league with whatever had been controlling Eli, perhaps part of conspiracy keeping children in the tunnels for years. "What the hell are you doing, Tanner?" Marcus demanded, gun raised. Tanner smirked, just for a moment, and then lunged to the nearest child. Blitz barked violently, tackling Tanner to the ground. The team scrambled, shouts echoing the cavern, lights swinging wildly. Marcus fired a warning shot, which ricocheted off stone with a deafening crack. Eli stood frozen, staring at the chaos. For a fleeting moment, Marcus saw the boy he had once known, the child who'd been friends with him, laughing under the sun at the old mill. Then the haze of years and torment overtook him again, and he vanished into the shadows, leading Marcus and Blitz deeper into the maze of the hollow. The chase was harrowing. Narrow passages, sudden drops, and hidden pits forced Marcus to navigate with care. Every turn brought a new revelation. Rooms lined with children's belongings, scattered toys, notebooks filled with frantic scrawls. Each discovery was a stark reminder of what had been lost, and what they had been too late to save. Finally, Marcus cornered Eli in a collapsed subchamber. Lantern light revealed a pit dug into the stone floor, filled with water, reflecting the gaunt figure hunched above it. "Eli, please," Marcus said, lowering his gun slightly. "It's me. We can leave. You don't have to do this." Eli's shoulders shook. Tears, or perhaps years of suppressed grief, slid down his hollow cheeks. I wanted to be strong," he whispered. "They said I had to survive." His hands trembled, hovering above the water. Marcus stepped closer, cautiously. Blitz growled low, but stayed by Marcus's side. The tension in the air was suffocating, every second stretched thin by fear and anticipation. Marcus reached out a hand. "I'll help you. All of you. We can get out together. No one else has to get hurt." Eli's gaze softened, flickers of the boy Marcus had known surfacing. Then, in a sudden, desperate motion, he dove into the water pit, dragging himself to the far side where a small tunnel led upward. A hidden exit Marcus had never noticed on the maps. Marcus followed, lifting the frightened children and moving them toward the opening. Blitz stayed close, growling at every shadow, keeping them safe. Outside, the fog had begun to lift, pale moonlight seeping through the mist. The cold night air felt like freedom compared to the oppressive tunnels below. Lorna and the team met them at the surface. They were shaken but alive. The children clung to Marcus, their small bodies trembling, while Eli collapsed near a tree, sobbing quietly. Marcus knelt beside him, putting an arm around the boy who had endured so much. "You're safe now," he said softly. "All of you are safe." Blitz nuzzled Eli, who allowed himself a small, tentative smile. It was a fragile moment, almost unbearably human, and Marcus felt tears prick at his own eyes. But the relief was tempered by the knowledge of what had been uncovered. Tanner had disappeared during the chaos, vanishing into the fog, an ominous reminder that the conspiracy, the darkness beneath Millhaven, might not be fully defeated. Still, as the first hints of dawn painted the sky in soft gold and pink, Marcus realized something profound. The streets above might look calm, small-town idyllic, but beneath them, the scars remained. And though they had faced horror, betrayal, and twisted secrets, they had reclaimed what had been lost: children, innocence, and the faint hope of redemption. Eli whispered Marcus's name, voice shaky. "Thank you for not giving up." Marcus smiled, holding him close, watching the fog retreat. "We never give up," he said. Blitz barked softly, tail wagging, and the world felt momentarily safe, a fragile promise in a town that had learned to live with shadows. As Millhaven stirred awake, unaware of the horrors beneath, Marcus Hale stood in silence, heart heavy but resolute. There would always be darkness. But sometimes, even in the deepest fog, you could find light, and for tonight, that light was enough.